Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sonali Roy Chaudhary, and I'll be sharing with you regarding the topic constitutionalism under the concept of transformative constitutionalism. Here in our lecture, we will try to address the journey of Indian judiciary, how the positivism was prevailing at one point of time, then the sociological school of jurisprudence, if we connect jurisprudence and constitution, because the constitution is something which cannot be read into isolation. While reading the constitution, while giving a in-depth knowledge into it, we need to address various aspects of politics prevailing at that particular time. Apart from that, we need to address the various schools of jurisprudence and the ideas of jurisprudence which helped the jurists and the judges to deliver the judgment of at that particular point of time. So here in this lecture, we will try to address the issue of constitutionalism, followed by the transformative constitutionalism, which is a absolutely new concept. Not exactly to say new concept, but yes, a kind of concept which is a step ahead of constitutionalism, which is a step towards social progress, social pragmatism under Indian judiciary and the legal arena. So I would like to address and go back to the days of early constitution, where the constitution was made in a very early stage, and the case of ADM Jabalpur came up. The case of ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla, where a very regressive kind of judgment came. A very narrow interpretation has came up, literal interpretation has came up with regard to the Indian constitution, and it has been established that even a person mere breathing, then also we will consider that his Article 21 is protected. Now in this point of time, why this kind of judgment was being given? While reading through various literatures, I have found that when the constitution was made, it was made with a very heart and soul of our freedom fighters and the constitution framers. So it was we were into the grip of patriotism, and we were in of the idea that whatever is there in the constitution, that should be followed, and there should not be any kind of negotiation in whatsoever it is. So with this kind of idea, the judiciary was also there, and it was the early stage, and it happens not only it has happened not only in India, it has happened in each and every country. Because when a country gets independence, it has its own system, it has its own judiciary, own legislature, so it has a very much value to it. It actually values a lot at that point of time. So the same has happened in the case of ADM Jabalpur also. A very literal interpretation of Indian constitution has taken place. After that, judiciary has realized, after the emergency and Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Raj Narayan case, and the kind of politics has changed in India, the kind of political arena has changed. Judiciary has realized that giving so much power to the legislature, giving so much power to the government in the hand, is not a very good idea, and it will not remain the heart and soul of the Indian constitution. It will not make it particularly intact, the heart and soul of the Indian constitution, if we give so much rights and the powers to the legislature. So this kind of philosophy, this kind of idea has taken little bit, not, I would not say that every power has been taken away from the legislature, no, but there has been a shift towards placing lot of responsibility towards legislature, to giving it a kind of limited power. In the case of Keshwanand Bharti, where the concept of basic structure has came up, because before the case of Keshwanand Bharti, the judiciary has seen that giving so much power to the legislature won't be a good and a noble task. So it has tried to limitize the powers which has been given under the constitution to the legislature, and it has limitized it to the extent of basic structure. So now the point is that legislature can only exercise its amending power to the extent of basic structure. Coming one step ahead, Maneka Gandhi case, Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, where again judiciary has stood for the protection of Article 21 of the citizens, and it has said that even if you are snatching somebody's right to liberty, whatever process by which you are snatching somebody's right to liberty, that process, that law itself has to be valid law on the parameters of Article 14, 19 and 21. So that means the law by which you are snatching somebody's right to life or any of the fundamental rights, that law itself has to be just, fair and reasonable. And here we distinguish from the concept of rule of law and rule by law. Under our Indian constitution, we have made a very clear-cut demarcation. We have made a good place for placing Article 14 and placing Article 14 with the concept of rule of law, not rule by law. So now rule by law, if we talk about rule by law, what is rule by law? There is just only one difference of and by, but this of and by makes the whole concept contrary to each other. How it makes? Let me discuss it with you. Rule by law means following a particular law, okay, and that law may be just, fair or reasonable, and it may not be just, fair and reasonable, but what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to follow that particular law irrespective of its goodness and badness. And this is how it talks about positivism. So the idea and the judgment which has been given in ADM Jabalpur, that was more or less protecting rule by law. But if we talk about the case of Maneka Gandhi, if we talk about the case of Keshwanand Bharti, they are protecting rule of law. So this is how we are distinguishing between rights given to the people, but again and again, right given to the people and protecting those rights, giving equal power to all the organs of the government, so that no organ of the government should place itself in a dominant position. Okay. Now coming to another aspect which I have told you about, the new concept of a step ahead of constitutionalism, and that concept is transformative constitutionalism. Now what is transformative constitutionalism? Let me just break down this phrase. Transformative constitutionalism is made up of transformation and constitutionalism. So transformation means a massive change in the system, a big change in the system. And constitutionalism itself means protecting all the ideals of equality, all the ideals which have been placed, and which actually means limitizing the powers of the government. And limitizing power of the government, when we talk about limitizing power of the government, we not only mean limitizing power of the legislature, limitizing power of the judiciary, limitizing power of the executive. We mean that all the three organs of the government should be into a parity. That means they should not dominate. There is nothing called as hierarchy based structure when we talk about legislature, executive and judiciary. There is a parity of power when we talk about the powers of the government and the powers of the organs of the government. So this is what we mean by, ideally what we mean by constitutionalism. Now talking about transformative constitutionalism. So when we talk about transformative constitutionalism is something which has came up which is basically an outcome of a research paper of Pearl Clark. He has written this research paper in 1998. He was a professor, and he has written this paper in South African Journal. The paper was titled as Legal Culture and Transformative Constitutionalism. Again, I'm repeating the timeline. He has written this paper in 1998. So what he means by this term called transformative constitutionalism, he says that it's a long-term project for transforming political and social structure. See, try to understand the idea. When we talk about transformative constitutionalism, we are absolutely contrary to what is the positivism idea which has been promulgated in ADM Jabalpur. Because in ADM Jabalpur, there is the absolute idea that what the law says, you have to oblige with that. You don't need to think about the goodness and the badness of the law. So that is absolute positivism. Now, this transformative constitutionalism talks about that the judgment and the laws which are there, they should not be only the outcome of legal structure, or they should not be the outcome of the legal norms. They should be the outcome of the social political structure also. There has to be, we need to address the goodness and the badness of law here. And this transformative constitutionalism has been used as a term by Judge A.M. Khanwilkar for the first time. And it has been used in the case of Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India. We all know about this case, that this case has actually eradicated all the social backlashes, all the kinds of, disparity we were having in the social structure with regard to the LGBTQ people. So it has actually completely, as a judgment, as a legal structure, as a legal sanctity, it has said that when it comes to 377, if the adults are engaged into LGBTQ relationship, they are adults, there is a consent, and they are doing these things into a private sphere, then there is nothing like the application of 377. So it's a very landmark judgment, and it talks about a kind of social pragmatism which it has allowed to do. It has it's like, I would call this judgment as a judgment which has actually brought social independence in the minds of the people. We were independent from 1947, but the kind of social independence we are talking about, that is something which was a misnomer kind of concept. That was not something which was available to us since the era of 1947. It was not available to us. There are still, I am not saying that after the case of Navtej Singh Johar, things has got changed enormously. But yes, when you give a kind of legal sanctity to a social evil, and you prohibit by a legal statute or a kind of legal if there is a legal prohibition to do something, then there is a chance that a social evil will not sustain for so long. So there is a big relief in the mind of the people, those who are LGBTQ, those who are not LGBTQ, but they are of human rights supporter. So this is something which is a very landmark and shows a huge pragmatism when we talk about Indian judiciary. And not only this, there has been a lot of case beginning from 2016 till date, which has actually challenged the social norms and the social evils prevailed in the so-called patriarchal society of India. Let's take the example of Sabrimala case. Let's take the example of Joseph Shine's adultery case, where we have equally charged women as like men for doing, for being betraying the marriage as an institution. Earlier only the man, the third person, the man who was indulged into adultery, he was only accused for this and he could only be punished. But now the situation is not there. There are number of cases which talks about this particular thing, the kind of Nalsa, the kind of pragmatic judgment Nalsa has given. So there has been a number of cases which talks about transformative constitutionalism. Constitutionalism means basically protection of equality into or parallel. Apart from that, there is no dominance of structures like judiciary, executive and legislature. And now transformative constitutionalism, which brings equality as a structure into a social level too. That means constitutionalism as an ideal is not only limited to the political bureaucracy or something. It has so much to do with the social and the political sphere, with day-to-day life. So this is how transformative constitutionalism is a new urge for the Indian society. And still there are many concepts which need to address, like decriminalizing marital rape. This is one of the aspects which I think is something which needs to get a lot of attention. Though there has been attention in case of independent thought case, where the age of 15 in the case of married women, and there has been a discrepancy, and that there has been a discrimination with regard to the concept of marital rape in India in age of 15 and 18. But now there is nothing like age of 15 which was allowed for married women, and for unmarried women the rape, the consensual age was considered to be 18. So now there is a parity. Now it is only age of 18 which is required to be there when we need to prove the consensual sex between man and women. But again, the kind of marital rape and the kind of marital sanctity in Indian society is again something which need to address. I think now when this video will be there, so if you want to ask any question or something, you can definitely do that. The organizer will definitely do something in this regard. And I think this video is really helpful for the students who are trying to get the idea how Indian judiciary has addressed the idea of positivism in its early stage, then constitutionalism and a liberal kind of thought. So basically this positivism is a literal interpretation of the constitution, constitutionalism is a liberal interpretation of the constitution, and transformative constitutionalism is nothing but the most liberal, seeing to the pertaining and the contemporary social structure of Indian constitution. So this is how I would like to end up my discourse here. Thank you.